How you guys and girls doing today? Tim918 here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Miquella the Miquellester, aka Miquella the Tickler, and how he's the evil mastermind behind all of this. In order to understand this fully, let's go back a little bit to the base game. In the remembrance of the Rot Goddess, it states Miquella and Melania are both children of a single god. As such, they are Empyreans, but suffered afflictions from birth. One was cursed with eternal childhood, and the other harbored rot within. So from this dialogue, we understand that Miquella suffers from a childlike state, but there's one more thing that we overlook in the base game that's very important. When we read the Melania armor set, it states, Melania awaited Miquella at the foot of the husk. My brother will keep his promise. He possesses the wisdom, the allure of a god. He is the most fearsome Empyrean of all. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got some news. Miquella actually has another ability, which is to convince people to essentially fall in love with him and do his will, whatever that may be. And this is what the Shadow of the Erd Tree is about. Miquella isn't really talked about that much in the base game. The only thing we know about him is that he wanted to heal his sister of the Scarlet Rot, but unfortunately was captured by Mohg and taken away from the Helig Tree. What we didn't know though is that Miquella actually used his convincing powers on Mohg to capture him and take him away. Miquella's goal from the very beginning was to become a god to heal his sister, but to also rule the lands in a way that he saw fit, which was putting everyone under his love and compassion via control with his power. Miquella realized that he needed his own power as well as strength in order to achieve this. Realizing this, he chose Radahn as the perfect fit to become his king consort or lord. This is actually foreshadowed in the base game. Remember that fight that Melania and Radahn had? Well, let me tell you something, buddy. She actually whispered something in his ear that we can read about in the Young Lion's armor set. When Melania, Blade of Miquella, let the rot flower blossom in Aeonia, Radahn heard a murmur in his ear. Miquella awaits thee, O promised consort. That's right, y'all. That little moment in the trailer where you actually see Melania saying something to Radahn, that's what she said. Isn't that cool? We even see this at the very end of the game in the final cutscene. Miquella was talking to Radahn here when he said this.
Lord brother, I'm going to be a god. If we honor our part of the vow, promise me you'll be my consort.
Now, it's speculated and all up to the player interpretation as to whether Radahn actually accepted some kind of agreement with Miquella or if Radahn refused. Some people think that he agreed to be his king consort as long as he was given an honorable death or allowed to continue fighting. Another good theory, one that I lean more towards personally, is Radahn disagreed with Miquella and outright refused his offer. Miquella, of course not liking this, sent Melania to go kill Radahn so he could use his soul anyway. Melania, of course, failed to kill Radahn as the battle ended in a stalemate, but we, the player, end up doing one part of Miquella's plan by killing Radahn anyway. This is part of the reason the DLC needed Radahn dead to start it. Now, let's move on to the second part, Mr. Mohg. Here we are, thinking that we're doing a good deed by killing Mohg and stopping him from molesting a child. Little did we know, we once again were playing right into the hands of Miquella, as Miquella also needed a body to put Radahn's soul into. Miquella also needed a way to the realm of shadow, which we as the player give him by killing Mohg. There's also more theories and speculations going on as to whether or not Mohg actually had his own intentions from the very beginning and then he turned to Miquella after Miquella tricked him, or if Miquella tricked him from the very start. The remembrance of the Bloodlord says that wishing to raise Miquella to full godhood, Mohg wished to become his consort, taking the role of monarch, but no matter how much of his bloody bedchamber he tried to share, he received no response from the young Empyrean. So maybe Mohg had different intentions with Miquella at the very start and then Miquella used his powers on him later, or maybe Miquella tricked Mohg from the very beginning. That's up to you to decide. With both of his brothers dead and his plan ready, Miquella moves throughout the Shadow of the Erd Tree, getting ready to be brought back to full godhood through the divine gates with his king consort, the Mohg body / Radahn soul hybrid. Two little hints we get that this has happened is the design of the young lion's gauntlets. Take a look at the omen horns growing out of the back of them. Pretty neat, right? The other hint is in promised consort Radahn's moveset. He uses a blood flame incantation, the same one that Mohg uses. This is what the final battle is all about and is why Miquella says to us,
Tarnished one, aspiring lord of the old order, if you have known sin, if you grieve for this world, then yield the path forward to us, to I, Miquella, and my promised consort, Radahn.
We, of course, being the tarnished giga-chads we are, put an end to all of this, stopping Miquella and his plans to rule the world by force with his Miquelesting allure and charm. Last but certainly not least, y'all, let's take a look at two more things. In the remembrance of a god and a lord, it says, in their childhood, Miquella saw in Radahn a lord, his strength and his kindness that stood in stark contrast with their afflicted selves. And so Miquella made his heartfelt wish that Radahn would one day be his king consort. Also, taking a look at the light of Miquella incantation, it reads, Miquella sought to accept all that was and would be, but found one that refused to be embraced. Talking about us, of course, and you goddamn right I refuse. No wonder, as one god and one king consort is all the world needs. Alrighty then, y'all, and that is it for this video. Let me know what y'all think. Leave a comment below. I love talking to every single one of y'all. Man, oh man, I can see why Miyazaki and the team over at FromSoft said that this was going to be the first and the last DLC, and they're going to be focusing on the next game, because man, it just went in full circle. We have defeated the final boss of Elden Ring. The official story comes to a conclusion with us being the Lord of the Old Order and the New Order, and that's it. We stopped Miquella from taking over the world. So I will catch y'all in the next one. Timson 918 out of here. 10 out of 10. I love this game.